Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to create transparencies with overlapping shapes. Now before I start that, what I want to let you know about when you're painting your design, you want to paint the background first. With that said, it's going to be really important to mix enough of your background color that you will have it to do touch-ups as you go. So that's super important. You're always going to need to fix the edges. So work on your background first, but make enough of that background color so you can do touch-ups. Remember, one way to keep your acrylic paint wet is to drape a wet towel on top of it. I also need to touch this area up in here. Just going to pull that out like that and touch that up a little bit there. Okay, side of the A also I need to get in there and fix that edge just a little bit like that. So with this design, it's going to be really important that you consider what colors or shapes you want to advance toward the viewer or come toward, come at the viewer. They don't actually come at the viewer. They just look like they're advancing toward the viewer, like they're shining. And they're usually lighter and warmer. And what colors you want to recede back into space. So with this particular design here, what I decided was that I would use a dark tone for my background. So I've got this dark kind of purplish gray tone there for the background, and I'm using an analogous color scheme. So I left out the paints that I used. I used the Utrecht Quinacridone Red and also Utrecht Ultramarine Blue. Alright, now I think I'm ready to mix those transparencies. Now, when you're mixing transparencies, it's super easy to do. Just you have one color of a shape here, the pink, another color here, that lavender, and you have to decide what color you want to create the illusion of being on top. So with this right here, I think I want the C to look like it's on the top. You can see I wrote CA, which of course stands for California, but it's also the first two letters of my name. So I made that decision, and let's go for it right here. So I'm going to take some of that pink, and I'm going to take some of the that lavender color, and I'm going to mix them together right in here. And that seems like it needs more of the lavender color. So I want a color that's somewhere between the two, but has a little bit more pink in it than the lavender. So I think that'll work really well. Maybe even a little bit more pink in there. Okay, I'm going for that. All right. One of the, it's kind of a rule with painting, is you always want to use the biggest brush that'll work for the shape. So always use the biggest possible brush. That will work well. So I'm trying this right here, and I think that'll be just fine. It's a little different from the pink, quite a bit different from the purple, and I think it's going to create that illusion of that C being on top of the A. I like to work with flat brushes because they can get in there and do the corners and edges really well if you use them on their sides. I'm going to pull this across here, and okay. I'm going to go back in there with a small brush. Sometimes I like to turn my paintings around if I'm working in this manner, you know, with these flat shapes. So if I turn it around, sometimes I can get in there and get an edge better, but for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to do that. So just working on that edge, the flat brush. I don't want any globs of paint. I want to make sure that my paint stays nice and flat. And I also know that if I go over the edges a little bit, I still have plenty of my other color mixtures, so I can go back and fix the edges. That edge needs to be fixed a little bit. Okay, let me work on that. Pull this down here. I know I said I was going to use a smaller brush, but I did not. Alright, looks pretty good, but I want to fix that little glob right there. So I'm going to get in there with the that lavender. Put that on my brush. When you see me playing around with the paint with my brush, I'm just trying to get like the right amount of paint on my brush. There we go. Okay, fix that edge. You know, you probably realize this by now that the acrylic dry is a little bit darker, so it looks like when I'm putting this down that it's actually a lighter tint, but it's not, and it's going to dry to be the right color. Okay, hey, that looks pretty cool. All right, now in here, I want it to look like the lavender's on top. So I'm going to make another color mixture, and this time I'm going to use more lavender. Okay, let's see. I want that to be different enough. I think you know, from the other one, I have to make sure it's different from the letter A. I also want it to be a different color than the other transparency too. So more purplish. Yeah, I think that's going to work really well. All right, I'm going to give that a try. Here we go. I have to make sure my brush is nice and clean. And you don't want to get too much water on your brush either. You know, because then you end up with this transparent looking paint. It's all kind of, you have to just go over it and do another layer. Okay, I'm ready for this section here. Now, when I started working on this little painting here, I had the edges taped. Since then I took off the tape. I probably should have left it on. Now I'm looking at that and I'm wondering, is that enough of a difference, or does it need more pink to really look at that? I'm thinking I need a little bit more pink in there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a little more pink in there. Maybe a little more of the color I used before. Alright, let's try that. Because it just seemed to be a little too much the same as that other lavender. Now I have too much paint on my brush. I'm going to try to get a little bit off. Doesn't look like I did that. Alright, that's looking better, folks. Okay, yeah, got it. Alright, so it's a little bit more bluish than the other transparency. Hopefully it'll look like that. That letter A is on top of my pink triangle there. Get that corner right there. Yeah. Alright, just flatten out the paint a little bit. Okay, and there you have it. Creating transparencies. It's easy. It's fun. It involves a little bit of thought, you know, and a whole lot of paint mixing. So enjoy working on your project.